like a show.
Like a show.
Like a show.
It was like a show
For the people in
now
your
we're in the
house.
studio being able to like manipulate it, and so it's been like a blast, honestly. Like working in the studio is like a ton of fun now.
So would you describe it as a studio album or a live album?
It's both.
Yeah, it's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. Yeah, it's definitely a hybrid.
There were some songs that were done in like one take. You know, we kept the live take. And
Got it in one.
Yeah, just
that was it. And there's a lot too that we're gonna add, and you know, we did some overdub some guitar solos. There's like multiple guitar
a lot of
tracks in certain
doubling,
songs, but
things like that.
it's a little bit of both.
We went up to Tommy Bailey's studio, Riot City Studios in Morgantown, and did a lot of the vocals up there.
Tommy Bailey, does he
Fletcher's
play with
Grove.
Fletcher's
Fletcher's
Grove?
Grove,
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, I've been talking to him.
So
He's
we
the one
actually
that brought a lot of the microphones out.
The Royer was his.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Nice.
we've done the vocals up there. Some of them. We've had a lot of fun with it. We did some giant vocoded, like creating like using stadium noise as a vocoder, so it sounds like a giant mass of people, and like fun things like that we've been experimenting with. So there's a lot of that kind of cool stuff. But all the stuff we did at the cabin, we're not really touching though. So it's got this nice hybrid type atmosphere to it.
We have the energy from the live performances, and then you can sprinkle on.
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
Extra.
Sprinkle on
Yes.
the other stuff. Yeah. So
And for the guitar geeks, I know we got to talk to Justin here before any guitar geeks get mad or.
All right, so Gear on the album. That song you were talking about specifically was Gypsy's Queen you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I used Fender Eric Johnson Strat for majority of that album. That's the first time I really used a Strat in a long time.
Really? I haven't
yeah.
seen you with the Strat in a while.
Not in a long time, but that thing sounds awesome through. I just got a brand new Bogner Ecstasy head, and that thing is the be-all, end-all of tube amplifiers. That's it right there. That's going through vintage 30s in an orange cabinet. And my pedal board's really simplistic now. I just have a compressor. I have a wah pedal. There's delay on there, some slapback. Like I said before, no reverb, so any echo is either the slapback or that SM57 room mic in there. I have a TC Electronic chorus pedal. Yeah, EVH phaser, EVH flanger, which I barely use on the album at all, and that's it. That's all I'm using anymore.
I like it. Simple and effective.
Very effective.
This guy can shred harder than Van Halen.
oh man. No, I want to
I
see
don't
you
know
two
about
battle
all
again. That Allman Brothers.
I don't want to play. I don't like playing after you guys. You
Come
guys-
on.
Me and Ron, like,
Come on,
holy
man.
shit, that,
Oh yeah,
dude,
that was fun.
dude.
Yeah,
And
check out
all
him and
four of
Ron
us
battle.
together though. We hit this one peak, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're the most fun guitar player there is to play with, man. It
Thank
is
you, man.
the
You
greatest. It is awesome. We gotta get Brian in the mix next time.
Definitely.
Yeah. Next time, in fact, we have a residency starting in 2 weeks, every Wednesday in February at the 8x10. So, and you guys are actually playing with us.
Oh yeah, we are playing the first
We
week.
were playing the
Yes,
first
yes,
week, yeah. So
yes.
we should do something.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah.
will.
The band is Moogatu. I don't want to be like too much of a whore right now, but
come on,
just so
see them.
people aren't clueless out there.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris is actively involved in the scene himself, so we're totally full disclosure here. So I guess since everybody's been covered, I haven't asked you. Well, what since you do sort of like a sound effects, kind of like a concoction of like noise and stuff like that. What since you are in this setting of all these contributors and people being in this cabin around you recording the album, what about you as an artist? What was the moment where you were like, you could really like experiment? Like, did you have any breakthroughs or like really like going out of your comfort zone or anything like that on this album?
Well, I'm producing the whole thing. So my focus really at the cabin was making sure everybody else got their stuff right.
Right, because somebody's got to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I was captaining the ship in a way, and some of the stuff that I did up there is on there, but a lot of the parts that I'm adding are in the studio at home now.
Sure. Okay. Right. So it's more of an insular experience when you're doing that. You kind of get your hands on it and kind of reshape.
It is
an existing piece of work.
And it's been interesting because when I'm doing the Chaos Pads live, I don't really have to think about much. Everything just kind of happens.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I sat down in the studio to record the stuff, it just hit me differently, and I had to start putting a lot of thought into it.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the record.
Those sort of experiences are what push a group really into the next level. I think that happens almost every time I record a record, where it's like, you know, you're finally in the studio and you can think about what you're doing, like, because when the live experience, especially like solos and stuff like that, like I never ever am putting. You don't get to think about it really, like you can't, because there's no redo button, so it's you just are channeling it.
That's a really good point.
And so when you can slow down and assess the situation, then when you go back to the playing field and you're back there, you have this new knowledge, like this new, you look at everything in a new way. And it's always so, like, you know, like he just said, he's like, oh, I've never, like, I have to think about my chaos pad parts now. That means now live, the chaos parts are going to be even better, you know, because now it's like this new thought of them, you know, that's even more thought about.
I met Austin at the open mic in Frederick that we talked about before.
Yeah.
And I just kind of jumped in with them doing the effects. And that's kind of how I met up with them and joined. So it was experimental from
the
very beginning.
Like a Reggie Watts thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I mean, had you done that before?
Yeah, I developed that style playing with a couple other bands.
Okay.
But being able to focus on it in LITZ has been exciting.
Yeah.
I got some keyboard parts to play, but not too much to think about like that.
Well, I think that's a lot we got out of the album. So let's pivot now to the dynamic of the band itself. I mean, playing with each other as musicians, getting all this work out together. There's got to be a bunch of fun stories that you have. Just from the recording,
fun.
touring. Let's get into the fun stuff. We talked about the serious technical stuff for a while now. So what's the stuff you got in the chamber?
Camera store.
Yeah, tell us. Let's do a couple. Let's do a couple fun questions.
Okay, yeah.
Tell us about like a funny fight you may have had.
Oh, funny
Because I know with three
Are they
brothers,
funny?
three brothers in the
we
band.
fight
There's got to be some good stuff with
every
the brothers.
day. I don't know. Well, they're my brothers. We fight, but we don't. It's like we always just are like abrasive with each other. I don't know. The twins are. They grew up in the punk rock scene, and then we were able to convince them to play in a jam band, which they now love, ironically. But I think if you asked them a few years ago, they would have never. But so yeah, I don't know. Fights don't really happen too much, like real ones, at least.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think we've ever had to get physical.
You got milkshake dumped on you at practice.
Oh yeah, Logan did dump him. Why was
milkshake.
that? I think I just told him.
And then he like threw something like a salt shaker at you. Yeah, he did something.
Oh yeah, what did I do?
Salted milkshake.
I really don't remember, to be quite honest with you. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Harmony, bro.
Get that progression wrong, man.
Okay, so I did get a milkshake dumped on me one time, but we're brothers, so it's like no matter what happens at the end of the day, we still. I remember he called me even later that night and was like, "I'm sorry, bro." Like,
yeah.
But, like,
anytime a fight happens, we're all real quick to say we're sorry and get over it. I mean, it's always a creative dispute or something, which is not, I mean, we had a bunch of strong personalities in the band. We're both lead musicians, so we're always, going
You
back
just
and
said
forth.
creative fights. You ever had one that got to something where you're like, one person had an idea, another person had another, and by going at it, you end up getting like this better result.
The break in that one song, the break in Rocket Number 9, we fight about that.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, definitely, there is a lot of there's creative tension. I think sometimes, where people will throw out ideas and it's like, maybe that works. But I mean, a lot of the times though, that does, like you said, that tension will create some sort of blending, and we end up. That happens a lot with endings of songs. The percussionist in the band, Nick, really likes to, because he's always focused about rhythm, so he's always about like, switch it up just a pinch right here. And, as a melodic person, my head's thinking about melodies. I'm like, well, the melody's kind of changing. Like, it's already diverse. But then we'll come together and like make it kind of like maybe simplify the melody, complexify the rhythm, or things. I think there's a healthy amount of push and pull, and sort of almost reluctance to do exactly one thing, but being able to merge and fuse ideas
We're also on the big, we're big on the less is more ideology. So when we're all throwing out all these ideas, we can't possibly accept all these ideas. Let's do this, that. You have to shut down some ideas every now and again. And naturally, if you're the one that comes up with an idea that you think's good, and your idea is getting shut down, you're gonna bitch about it. And that's how
I always thought that was always healthy for being in a band, because when you don't, tell people that the riff sucks, for example, then things get, held in, things get personal.
Yeah.
People hold on to it, and then eventually one day, it's like, fuck you, fuck you. So, that's what your band members for.
We're kind of ruthless.
You gotta tell your band member they
brutally
suck.
We're brutal.
Yeah.
I wish my band
a
told
lot of
each other
bands
we
are
suck more
very
time.
much like that. It's like you better
It's
be
like,
able to
no, that
keep
shit
in
don't
time.
work. It
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah,
Sorry.
move on right now. We're wasting
my
time.
brothers
Yeah.
have always been that way, and like I think they allowed for that energy to start flowing between all of us because they're my
Right.
big brothers, and they're
Right,
gonna,
and
they're gonna tell me whatever.
Gonna push you.
Yeah, they'll tell me whatever. They don't care what my reaction is with they're big brothers.
Yeah.
But as far as funny stories go, the cabin was ridiculous.
Oh my god.
It was great. There was a lot of Dionysian moments in there with, I don't know, drinks poured into mouths and
We
hot
ran out
tubs.
of beer at one point, and Lisa went around the house and poured all the wounded soldiers into a pitcher, and just came down to the hot tub, and she was like, "Hey, I found beer." Didn't tell anybody. And
Yeah.
then just
Yeah, it was
Well,
pouring.
me, Brain, and I can't remember who. God, who's the third person in there? There's three of us in the hot tub.
Mitch.
Brandon.
Mitch.
Yeah, we were all fighting. We were like, Brandon was probably in there too. It was four of us. We were all just like,
Four
we want the
dudes
beer.
in
And
the
so
hot
they
tub.
were just like, all
It
right.
was hot.
The only way we could get beer is if we fought for it. So it got kind of gay for a second to get some beer. I'll be dead honest. I was right up front. I was thirsty. All right.
But
Just
yeah,
for a moment. No, it's not gay unless your balls touch. That didn't happen.
Things
So.
got weird. I don't think I peed my pants any that weekend, but I might be lying.
Probably lying. This guy pees his
Maybe you don't
pants
remember.
so often.
No, I definitely had to get.
chronic.
I had to get like peeled off of the studio floor, where I was like underneath the percussion.
I got
rig or
pictures of
something.
that.
Peeled
You
off, that's
you
a
were
good,
out on your
yeah.
face on the floor.
It's a good
Yeah.
picture right there.
Yeah, it was funny. I think someone does have a picture of it.
I did have a picture of that. Mike was
Yeah.
also
we were
plastered one
sipping
day.
out of the
Mike
pineapple.
was
Yeah, we had the special pineapple going around. I don't know because work hard, play hard. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
we're in this to have fun. And, balance is key. And if you work your ass off for 12 hours, why not have a couple?
No, I
dozen
agree.
beers?
Right there with you.
A couple dozen girls.
Before we wrap up this first part, can you got any cool festival stories that might be able to want to divulge?
Well, you guys were saying about craziest. If you want to hear the craziest, I mean,
Let's hear
I'll
it.
shamelessly. Okay, so Camp Barefoot, 2012, I believe. So hook up with. It was the first time hooking up with a random girl at a festival. It was my first meeting a girl in the crowd, and she takes me back to the fence, type thing, and then. So I was really charged, amped up off of that, and then Motet comes on, and I'd never seen him before, and I was really in a spiritual state of mind, crazy amount of spiritualism going on right there, and spacewalking and whatnot, and I end up waking up in Pennsylvania in the hospital.
Holy shit!
But
Camp Barefoot's in West Virginia.
Yes. And then I ended up getting a ride back to the festival because some girl broke her arm, went to the same hospital, and I ended up scoring a ride back to the festival and fucking hop back right into the party. And I was making some poor life decisions at that point, but maturity it grows on me. I'm slowly learning. But that night is when I had the religious epiphany. The motet blew my mind so hard. I was like, this is what my life needs to be. I need to do what they're doing. The energy exchange was so ridiculous. And then the whole shame of waking up in the hospital and all that shit really made me get shit together. And me and Justin were already in a band with Michael and Logan called Adult Situation. And that kind of was fizzling out. So the band was really already there. And then we tried some other people. And then when we eventually found Will, we were like, okay, this works right here. This combination works.
I think Nick came first as well. Nick came first, and then Will came in shortly
Yeah.
thereafter.
Yeah,
And
Nick
Nick's
was
the guy we've
reluctant
always
to
known,
join.
too,
We had to
so.
convince Nick.
Yeah?
Honestly, yeah. He sat in with us once at our first show. with pigeons, and we weren't even, we were calling ourselves Full Retard.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
We needed a band name to get paid, so we had to
we needed something to put on a flyer. You know, so, but I know that's kind of how we work, though. It's sort of the same thing with the album. It's like we kind of do the thing, and then at the end of the day, it's like, what's our band name? Like, what's the album called? Like,
Where am I?
where am I? In a hospital in Pennsylvania when everything's still melting like a computer. It's like,
You gotta take risks, man.
That, you know, I don't know.
Maybe not like that, but.
Well, I think that's the way to wrap on a flourish like that. We're gonna call this part 1 of the interview, and we'll take a quick break and
Stay tuned for
Thank
part
you.
2.
stay tuned for part 2. There's a performance coming up and everything.
Alright.
I'm water.
When it's stop on